I think what I have is excessive need for success or something. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Hi guys, it's me, Essie Magic, and today I want to get to the bottom of why I have an extreme fear of failure. So one thing about me is that I am so scared of failing. Like, I literally, think about it all the time. Like, what if I get to, 50 years old and I still haven't achieved, my biggest goals, or I get to old age and I'm just like, man, I never did what I wanted to do. Like, it's just such a fear of mine, like to the point where I even get anxiety over it. Like, there's been times where I haven't been able to sleep over it. Like, oh my gosh, I moved to LA, I put all this money into moving to LA, I spent so much time here, and what if I never reach the pinnacle of where I want to reach? Like, what if it just never happens? Like, I'm getting older, and what if I still have some ways to go, obviously, but what if I get to 50 plus and I'm just like, oh my gosh, everything that I wanted to do never made it. It's like I have a really extreme fear of failing, and it's just like, why am I like this? And the thing about it too is it can be good because it motivates me like crazy. It keeps me going, it keeps me hustling, it keeps me strong, it keeps me on my toes. But then it's also bad because it's to the point where it's like, I'm so worried about it, to the point where, I'll shut people out to get things done. I will let it consume me. I'll spend so much time thinking about it. I'll get paranoid about oh my gosh, what if I never ever reach, this really high point I want to get to. And so it's a big problem sometimes. It's I don't know, it's good and bad sometimes. Oh my gosh, I'm not used to wearing Sorry, I got a little distracted there because I never wear bright colors ever. Ever wear bright colors. So it's weird to wear yellow, I know. This is the only bright shirt I own. I usually wear black, gray, dark blue, or medium blue. Those are the only colors I wear, hence why my whole Essie Magic YouTube page is black and blue and silver. So anyway, the point of today's video is to figure out, why am I so consumed with this? Why am I so, into chasing your dreams and making sure you do things that, fulfill what you want? It drives me. It drives me so much that it just, I don't know. Sometimes I question, if there's something wrong with me. I mean, I know I'm not normal. Obviously, I'm not normal. If you're somebody who is, first of all, not following the norm, whatever that is, you're pretty much not normal. But we've accepted that. I'm sure a lot of you watching have accepted that. Yeah, so anyway, but I would like to get to the bottom of this, and so I want to pull it up on Google and see what sort of things it brings up for people who are extremely afraid of failing and what causes that. So before we get into that though, I do want to remind you I release videos every Thursday and Saturday, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on those videos. Also hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of all of my latest videos. If you don't have the bell on, you might not get the notification for the video, so yeah, make sure you do that as well. We should actually count down that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you better have hit the notification bell by now. Okay, cool. We're good? We're good. So without further ado, let's get into what causes extreme fear of failure. So I am on Google now, and I'm gonna start typing immediately extreme. Oh, sorry, I got caught off guard how it moved the box up here, but anyway, sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, extreme fear of, oh my gosh, look at all the things that are coming up already. People have extreme fear of bees, extreme fear of flying. That I can imagine because I know a lot of people who are afraid of flying. Extreme fear of death, oh my gosh. That's, that sounds a bit morbid. Extreme fear of heights, I can see that as well. Extreme fear of needles. That sounds, you know, ugh. I actually am not really afraid of needles, but I don't know, maybe I interpreted it wrong, because I think that means people like getting a needle in their arm. In my head, when I first read that, I read it as like a million needles, like just like sticking and poking, like when people step on like fire coal or whatever, they walk over fire. I imagine that as a bunch of needles. So my imagination made the best of me. Anyway, these are all fears that I see people having a lot. Anyway, let's get back to what I was doing. So extreme fear of, oh my gosh, look, it comes up second when you put in the letter F. Let's see what it brings up. Oh, there's actually a phobia name for it. So fear of failure, also called atychiphobia, is when we allow that fear to stop us doing the things that can move us forward to achieve our goals. Fear of failure can be linked to many causes. For instance, having critical or unsupportive parents is a cause for some people. Oh no! Okay, let's click and see what else it says here. So I don't know if I let it stop me. I don't think I let it stop me. I think that's the area where it's like not a bad thing, because I don't let it stop me. I'd rather let it motivate me. I mean, I have times where it's like made me feel down and made me feel upset because I'm so worried about failing. But I always overcome it every single time. So I don't think it's that bad to the point where it's like stops me from even trying. Like I know some people, when they get overwhelmed, they don't even want to try. It's like they're in a rut, they just stop doing it because it just seems like a huge thing to do. That happens to me sometimes, but not as badly as other people get it. So in that sense, what it said first, it doesn't necessarily apply to me. But yeah, let's see what else it says. So, okay, have you ever been so afraid of failing at something that you decided not to try it at all? No, like I said, it doesn't stop me, you know, unless it's like, unless it's like a extreme, like going bungee jumping or something. But in terms of like work and stuff, no. Many of us have experienced this at one time or another. The fear of failing can be immobilizing. It can cause us to do nothing and therefore resist moving forward. But when we allow fear to stop forward progress in life, then we reach the point where you guys have to hear me read. We're likely to miss some great opportunities along the way. In this article, we'll examine fear of failure, what it means, what causes it, how to overcome it. So let's scroll down to what causes it. To find the causes of fear of failure, we first need to understand what failure actually means. We all have different definitions of failure simply because we all have different benchmarks, values, and belief systems. I agree. A failure to one person might simply be a great learning experience for someone else. Very true. Many of us are afraid of failing, or at least some of the time. But fear of failure, also called atychiphobia, I can't say that. Atychiphobia. I think I'm gonna start using that word though. Once I learn how to pronounce it, I'm gonna start using that word more often. It's actually a thing, you know, to have a fear of failure. Okay. But fear of failure also is when we allow the fear to stop us doing things and that can move us forward to achieve our goals. I don't like how they keep calling it as something that stops you, but anyway, we'll keep reading. Fear of failure can be linked to many causes. For instance, having critical or unsupportive parents is a cause for some people because they were routinely undermined or humiliated in childhood. They carry those negative feelings into adulthood. No, I don't have unsupportive parents. I've never really had unsupportive parents or overly critical parents. I mean, my parents were very like, you have to go to university, like you can't not go to university, that type of thing. But they never really, you know, stopped me from doing, you know, otherwise I wouldn't be in LA or anything, you know what I mean? Like they never really, like, I mean, I've had times where they're like, oh, you know, you can't do that job or you won't make any money type of thing. But critical or unsupportive, no, because I've seen that in other people and I just don't think it applies to me. I think my parents are very supportive of me. Or it says undermined or humiliated in childhood. I don't think I was ever undermined or humiliated. I mean, I was never a popular kid. I don't know if maybe that kind of made me always want to prove myself or something. But yeah, no, I don't think I was ever humiliated or you know, ridiculed or something like that. Experiencing a traumatic event at some point in your life can also be a cause. For example, say that several years ago you gave an important presentation in front of a large group and you did very poorly. The experience might have been so terrible that you became afraid of failing in other things, and you carry that fear even now, years later. No. The thing about me, and this is gonna sound so arrogant, is I'm usually pretty good at like, I don't do badly at things typically. I've never had a traumatic event where I just did so bad that, like, you know, well, actually, okay. If I go back to my first year in university, when I was like, you know, everyone goes through that phase where they're adapting to being in college or whatever and staying on campus and all that stuff. Okay, so that first year was a bit of a struggle for me. And I did have moments where I was like, oh no, I'm doing so bad, what's gonna happen? But do I think that influenced me now? No, not really. Because the thing about me is I've always been the type of person where I know I'm gonna succeed. It's like no matter what odds happen, no matter how bad things turn, there's always that feeling that lives in me that I know I will make it, I will get there. So, and if anything, that's what keeps me calm and keeps me, you know, sane, I guess you can say, and helps me to let loose and have fun with friends and stuff sometimes, because I have that feeling in my head that no matter what, I'm gonna get there. So I've never carried that moment with me that I had in that first year of college. So how you experience fear of failure. So this is the last part I'm gonna read before I try something else, because I feel like this one applies in some things and then not others. So you might experience some or all of these symptoms if you have a fear of failure, a reluctance to try new things or get involved in challenging projects. Not really. Sorry, I feel like I'm saying not really for everything. I embrace challenges. I don't run away from them. I embrace them. Self-sabotage, for example, procrastination, excessive anxiety, or failure to follow through with goals. Yes, okay, I do have some self-sabotage. I do procrastinate like we all do sometimes. I do have moments where, you know, I'm not bringing myself to do something because it's overwhelming. Like I said, can cause anxiety for me sometimes. So yeah, I would say that one's a bit true. Low self-esteem or self-confidence, commonly using negative statements such as I'll never be good enough to get the promotion, or I'm not smart enough to get, oh no, that's not me at all. I am so confident in myself, like no, that is not me at all. So right now we're 1 for 4 of these. Last one, perfectionism, a willingness to try only those things that you know you'll finish perfectly and successfully. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, and it's definitely not in the way that I would, you know, be only willing to do it unless it's perfect or something. Like, I'll still try and give it my all. So no, I don't think that one really matches me. I mean, I do have high expectations of myself, like very high expectations of myself, but perfectionism is a whole different thing. Like when I think of perfectionism, I think of like Michael Jackson, who like wanted to be perfect. And I say that as somebody who has, you know, kind of done a lot of research on his career and, you know, why he was the way he was, type of thing. So yeah, no, I don't think that. So we're 1 for 4 on this one. Yeah. So let's just make sure I have the definition of failure correct. It says, it's almost impossible to go through life without experiencing some kind of failure. People do so, probably live so cautiously that they'll never go anywhere. Put simply, they're really not living at all. But the wonderful thing about failure is that it's entirely up to us to decide how to look at it. We can choose to see failure as end of the world or as proof of just how inadequate we are. Maybe it's that for me. Maybe it's the proof of inadequacy. Or we can look at failure as the incredible learning experience that it is often, or it often is. No, failure to me is not achieving. Okay, let's exit this article. Let's look at a second source. So 10, ooh, this looks good. 10 signs that you might have fear of failure. Let's see. Everyone hates to fail, but for most people, failing presents such a significant psychological threat Their motivation to avoid failure exceeds their motivation to succeed. This fear of failure causes them to unconsciously sabotage their chance of success in a variety of ways. You know what? This is a common theme I'm seeing, where it's more of like a obstacle that stops people. So now I'm starting to question whether what I thought was fear of failure for me is actually fear of failure. I think what I have is excessive need for success or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But let's read this some more. So failing can elicit feelings such as disappointment, anger, frustration, sadness, regret, confusion, that while unpleasant are usually not sufficient to trigger a full-blown fear of failure. Indeed, the term is somewhat a misnomer, because it is not failure per se that underlies the behavior of people who have it. Rather, a fear of failure is essentially a fear of shame. I mean, I guess I could associate the shame word with how I said, worried about regretting things in my life and looking back and being like, what did I do if it doesn't go right? I think, I don't know if it's a fear of, maybe. Okay, let's read a little bit more. People who have a fear of failure are motivated to avoid failing, not because they cannot manage the basic emotions of disappointment, anger, and frustration that accompany such experiences, but because failing also makes them feel deep shame. Okay, yeah. So I think that is hitting it, like that one is getting a much closer to how I am. I'm afraid of that shame feeling and feeling ashamed of what I've done. So shame is a psychologically toxic emotion, because instead of feeling bad about our actions, guilt, or our efforts, regret was a buzzword, shame makes us feel bad who we are. Shame gets to the core of our egos, our identities, our self-esteem, and our feelings of emotional well-being. Okay, I think this one is closer to what I am, especially where it says get to the core of our egos. Like, I am one of the most confident people you will ever meet. So yeah, I think it would hurt my ego a lot to fail. And honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a bit of an ego. You need ego. Ego breeds confidence, is how I feel. Like, you need some ego. You need to be feeling yourself. You need to be like, you know what, I'm good at this and I know I'm good at this. You know what I mean? I feel like that helps motivate us a bit. So don't be afraid of having a bit of ego. Okay, so let's look at the 10 signs you might have a fear of failure. We'll go through these 10 signs, and if I have these, then that'll solve a lot of what I'm talking about. If not, I might have to dig deeper and really think about this. So 10 signs you might have fear of failure. Failing makes you worry about what other people think about you. Yes, I think I would feel embarrassed if I didn't achieve certain things. Especially because I've made it seem like I'm gonna achieve everything to a lot of people, especially my family and my friends. So I think that does apply to me. Failing makes you worry about your ability to pursue the future you desire. Let me read that. Failure makes you worry about your ability to pursue the future you desire. No. Okay, so failing makes you worry that people will lose interest in you. Yes, that is very true. Again, because I've said it so many times that I'm gonna succeed. So I think I would feel ashamed if people, even you guys watching me, saw me like fail. Like, that would be really awful. Failing makes you worry about how smart or capable you are. No. So that one, I feel like that's one thing that is like a rock for me. Like, I do not waver on how capable I feel of doing the things I want to do. Failing makes you worry about disappointing people whose opinion you value. Yes, I would say probably that is like my parents, my brother, and things like that. Like, I always go to them for advice and things like that, and I think, I don't know, I wouldn't want to disappoint them. I just wouldn't want to disappoint them. My family and again, my friends too. So yeah, you tell people beforehand that you don't expect to succeed in order to lower their expectations. No, I never tell people. I'm the motivational type. Like, even my friends come to me for motivation. Like, they come to me. Essie is the type of person you go to if you want to be motivated and you want some sort of uplifting feeling. So that doesn't apply. Once you fail at something, you have trouble. Oh, sorry, and I do want to say about the number 6 one. The only time I do that is when I genuinely don't think, you know, I'm gonna get something. Like maybe I went for, you know, some sort of audition or something, or I went for, you know, some contest or whatever it is, and I genuinely don't think I have that much of a chance. Like I feel like the competition is too stiff or something. I feel like that's when I'll say something like that, like when it's genuinely true, not so much to lower people's expectations. Okay, once you fail at something, you have trouble imagining what you could have done differently to succeed. Well, I don't know. Once you fail at something, you have trouble imagining what you could have done differently to succeed. No, usually I find what I did wrong. I'm just like, oh, I should have done this instead. Yeah, okay, no. You often get last minute headaches, stomach aches, or other physical symptoms that prevent you from completing preparation. I will admit that as I'm getting older, I am and getting busier and just really expanding, you know, what I'm trying to do here. I would say I do get more physical symptoms such as migraines and like anxiety and like, you know, things like that. So that I do agree. Whether it prevents me from preparation is another story, but sometimes it has. Okay, fine, we'll give them that one. You often get distracted by tasks that prevent you from completing your preparation, which in hindsight were not as urgent as they seemed at the time. I wouldn't, sometimes, okay, I'm human sometimes, but I wouldn't say I do that much. I'm really good at catching, you know, busy work, and it's something that I've actually, you know, I've spoken to you guys about in terms of not letting busy work take over, you know, when you should be doing something else. So I would say I'm very good at catching that and stopping myself. I might do something small like, oh, I see a paper on the floor, I'm gonna pick up that paper and put it somewhere else, you know what I mean? But no, I wouldn't say I do that one that much. And lastly, you tend to procrastinate and run out of time to complete your preparation adequately. Yes, I do that. I procrastinate, and sometimes I'm running to the last minute. Within my group of friends, I am chronically running late all the time. Because I'm always trying to squeeze as much as I can into a small amount of time. So yeah, my friends are used to me being late. I'm not late for like professional things because that is like, you can't take any risk with that. But like when it comes to like my friends and stuff, sometimes I'm right to the last minute. Actually, there's been some projects as well too that were like important that it was to the last minute. And that wasn't because though, I was procrastinating. Okay, well, maybe it was a little bit. So yeah, I do procrastinate and have things at the last minute, but the thing about me though, again, this is me being magic, I always get it done though. That's the thing, is I never ever get to the point where it's like, oh no, I failed. Like, I get it done. Even if it's to the last minute, even if it's not, the most perfect thing ever, I always get it done. I always find a way. And even the people I surround myself with and, other people who work really hard, like, when we're in similar situations, we always get it done. Or even when we're working on things together, we always get it done. So yeah, so I only procrastinate to an extent. So this was interesting. I'm a little bit surprised at some of the answers that came out and what I read here. I don't know. Okay, before we get to my a little reflecting moment that's about to happen, let's read some of the solutions they give, just to also help you guys watching. So number 1, own the fear. It's important to accept that failure makes you feel both fear and shame, and to find trusted others with whom you can discuss these feelings. Bring these feelings to the surface. Oh my gosh, I can't read. The pressure of okay. Bringing these feelings to the surface can help prevent you from expressing them through unconscious efforts to sabotage yourself. And getting reassurance and empathy from trusted others can bolster your feelings of self-worth while minimizing the threat of disappointing them. I agree with that. I think talking to people about it, owning it, and saying, hey, I have this problem, let me do what I can to fix it. I think that is the way to go. I think definitely if you do try to hold it in and, keep it inside of you, it does filter out in different ways, or it's something negative or procrastination or something like that, or self-sabotage. So I definitely agree with that 100%. And I own my fears as well. My fear of failure, which is why I'm able to talk about it in this video, is because it's something that, you know, I feel like when you do know about it, at least you've taken the first step to, you know, have control of it. Number 2, focus on aspects in your control. Identify aspects of the task or preparation that are in your control and focus on those. Brainstorm ways to reframe aspects of the task that seem out of your control that you regain control of them. For example, if you failed to find work because you just don't know the right people, set the goal of expanding your network by going through your address book. Yes, I love that. Often at times we make excuses for why we didn't get something rather than, you know, accept, you know, okay, we have certain things we can do to fix that. If we think that that's an issue, that, you know, we don't have connections, okay, make more connections, you know what I mean? So, or if you think it's an issue that, okay, I don't have as much experience on my resume, okay, get more experience, you know what I mean? So I agree with that 100%. Focus on the items that are in your control and focus on what you can do to make things better, you know, so that you're not as afraid of failing and, you know, as worried about that. So I agree with that. I do think with myself though, in terms of my fear of failing and where it comes from, I think it's also because I have a family who have all done very well, you know, in terms of their careers and things like that. And so I think that also puts pressure on me to feel like I need to reach that level, or I'm not going to be good enough, or I'm not going to live up to, you know, expectations. So I think that also plays a role in it for me. And I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So far what I'm doing, you know, is working. It motivates me, it pushes me, and, you know, when I notice it's consuming me too much or taking over, I try to take a breather and I try to take a break and, you know, reflect on what's happening. So I think that I do like having that quality in me, to be so fearful of not succeeding, which causes me to work extremely hard. I know there's people who wish they sometimes had that sort of motivation, and maybe they grew up in a situation where they don't have support from their family, and so they wish they had that sort of, you know, oomph. So I wouldn't say it's a bad thing, but yeah, it was just something I was curious to see if there was a real, you know, solution for it. Or I wouldn't say solution, I don't think it even needs a solution, but like if it was a thing and what it was categorized as. So it's actiphobia or whatever it was. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your comments below. Let me know. Do you have a fear of failure as well? Are you worried about never achieving your goals, or living to your 70 and being like, oh my gosh, what happened? Time went by so fast and I never got to do the things that were gonna make me happy. Like, do you have that fear? I would love to hear from you to know if, you know, it's something that affects you guys as well, and if it kind of takes over your thoughts at times and, you know, motivates you to keep going and to keep pushing yourself. I just want to see how similar, you know, a lot of you guys are to me as well in that regard. I mean, I have friends who are just like me also, who aim to create a great life for themselves and want to ensure they actually get there. But I would love to hear from you guys watching what you think and how it manifests for you. With that being said, I do want to remind you I release videos every Thursday and Saturday. If you're new here, my name is Essie Magic, and I live my life being magic every single day. I believe in being magic. I believe in doing the impossible. I believe in making things happen. I believe in pushing your hardest no matter what the odds, and I hope you will join me on that journey as well. With that being said, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and keep being magic. Bye!